How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs beat writer on SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today. We are going to be continuing on with our expectations as we get closer to the 2025 campaign. Just for some housekeeping, the Chiefs begin training camp on July 21st. At least that's when it does begin. First practice is the day that follows, and it runs until mid-August, almost late August there. Preseason games they conclude around the 22nd, I believe, against the Chicago Bears at Arrowhead. That's going to be exciting stuff to look forward to, especially since football is around the corner. And as we know, the Kansas City Chiefs have a bad taste in their mouth as a whole unit, looking to kind of spit that out for at least from going into the new season. But today we're going to continue on with our expectations for another player on the Chiefs roster. We've covered several: Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, rookies, defensive guys, offensive guys. We've covered them all, and we're going to continue to do so until training camp gets underway, because then that's when really the expectations kind of start. If you ask me, it's the work that these guys are putting in the offseason that's going to translate well into their work during the regular season. And as we know, the Kansas City Chiefs, they always strive for the playoffs and to win the AFC West. So that work begins in the offseason and doesn't end, and hopefully doesn't end until around February. But that being said, today we're going to be talking about veteran defensive end George Karlaftis and his expectations. As we know, Karlaftis is going to be donning a Chiefs uniform for the next 2 seasons, as he's on the final year of his rookie contract this year, and the Kansas City Chiefs exercised a 5th-year option towards Karlaftis this offseason, which really just kind of helps out the defense because they don't really have a pivot point, at least from looking at their roster. Karlaftis is a former first-round pick that has been able to blossom nicely into the role that he has been given, as well as soon as he's been in the league, the Chiefs have yet to not be featured in the Super Bowl. You got a guy like that who has been having production. You got to keep him around for as long as possible. But that being said, let's get down into these expectations. The first expectation is kind of going to be off of the field, and that's going to be revolved around Ashton Gillotte. Ashton Gillotte and George Karlaftis, they kind of have like that budding relationship with one another. Karlaftis is the master, while Gillotte is the protege, so to say. So they have experience, playing alongside one another, or learning from, rather, not playing alongside one another. Excuse me. Gillotte, learning from Karlaftis and all that. And Karlaftis has said that Gillotte's been a very good guy to, watch. So, but going forward especially for these next 2 seasons, I'm fully expecting Ashton to go underneath the wing of Karlaftis, and hopefully he's going to be able to blossom into the kind of same player that George is, because George, in his 49 career regular season games, 10 playoff games, by the way, 10 playoff games in 3 years, that's impressive. But in the 49 regular season games, he's totaled over 100 total tackles. He's got 68 solo tackles, 24 and a half quarterback sacks, 15 passes defended, 13 stuffs. He's doing everything that he can in order to help this team. And that being said, going into his 4th season, it's only a perfect pivot into where he could say to himself, I've been in the league for a little bit. I know it works. I know what doesn't work. I know what works at my position, to hopefully kind of relay that down to Gillotte as well as other guys on the defense. It doesn't even have to just be at the same defensive end position. Other rookies like Noel Williams could also learn a ton of things from George Karlaftis. Just because that they don't play in the same position, and at least in my opinion, doesn't mean that their insight in being in the league for several years beforehand is not impactful. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward and expecting Karlaftis to kind of be a big brother to Ashton Gillotte. But in terms of statistics, in those 49 games, Last season, Karlaftis played in 16 of them, and he kind of took a step back from what he was last year. His second year, he had 47 total tackles. His third year, which was last year, he had 35 total tackles. If we're not talking about total tackles, Karlaftis had a step back in the quarterback sack department as well. He sacked 10 and a half guys in 2023, 8 guys in 2024. However, his stuffs did increase by a lot. Last year he had 6.5. The year prior, he had 2. There is a lot of things that is revolving around Karlaftis and his improvement into the league. You got to keep in mind, you guys, Karlaftis is still 24 years old. He's still got a lot of football career ahead of him, so long that his body holds out on him. I would say, though, we've seen around the 24, 25 age, at least for defensive guys, things start to click. If you're in the league and you've seen the kind of same players against you, you're going to be able to know and pick up on, like the little tidbits, the little things that the other opponents would be doing. So that being said, I'm expecting Karlaftis to have a pretty good season, especially going into the final year of his rookie contract. He's going to want to earn the money that he's going to get paid in 2026, which is around $15.1 million in 2026. That's got to be in the back of his mind. He knows that he has a paycheck waiting for him in 2026, but at least in my opinion, I think that he would want to work his way up into that contract, not just kind of be given that whole guaranteed. But I'm expecting him to improve on last season. While like I said, he took a step back in the total tackle department, I would fully expect him to kind of jump back up into that department, around the 40, maybe 42 total tackles, 28 solo tackles, around that area. The big thing, though, especially for defensive ends, is the quarterback sacks, tackles for loss, and stuffs. I'm hoping that these stuffs become a consistency around the 6.5 mark. It is hard to expect or predict, though, especially because he's kind of been up and down the board in that department since he's been in the National Football League. But like I said earlier, it being his 4th season, I would like to see around the same, if not too much of a decline in that department. But I would really, really, really hope that this Super Bowl loss is kind of, eating away at the mind of George Karlaftis, so much so where he wants to be so explosive on the defense and be able to rack up career totals. I don't know if 10.5 is going to be past this season in the sack department, but I am fully expecting George Karlaftis to be a leader on that defense and hover around close to that 10 total sack department. He's got a nice future. The Chiefs would not have exercised that 5th-year option towards him if they didn't believe in him. This is a guy that's going to not only be a veteran on the roster for as long as he can be on the roster, but he's going to help mold the new players, the new era of Chiefs defense. With that being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, you can always check me out over on X at Dom Minchella. I post and repost every single day. You're not going to want to miss any of it. You can also follow us at KC Chiefs on SI, where we post every single day as well. And you're not going to want to miss any of it while we get closer and closer to the 2025 NFL campaign. That being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, as always, happy 4th, at least this, not all, as always. Have a great 4th of July. I hope you guys are enjoying it with friends and family. But as always, there it is. Be kind to one another, and I'll see you tomorrow.